Learning medicine is really exhausting. We make it easy with diagram based short videos from standard reference books you follow during your medical school, beginning with Pathophysiology of Edema and Effusions. Human body is mostly made up of water. You can appreciate it by the fact that total water makes about 60% of our body weight. Now this water or fluid present inside our body is divided into two main compartments: intracellular fluid 66% and extracellular fluid 33%. Again, this extracellular fluid is divided into two main compartments: intravascular 25% that flows into blood vessels and interstitial that comprises 75% of the extracellular fluid. Hemodynamics, dynamics of a blood flow. It refers to movement of blood flow. More specifically, it refers to measurement of and general principles governing flow of blood in human body. General principles are cardiac output, blood flow and pressure, and vascular resistance. Edema. Edema is a hemodynamic disorder which becomes clinically apparent with increase in interstitial fluid volume. It develops when stalling forces are altered, leading to increased flow of fluids from vascular system into interstitium. Now, increase in hydrostatic pressure like in deep vein thrombosis or reduced in colloidal oncotic pressure like in protein malnutrition will lead to accumulation of fluid inside tissues is edema, and accumulation of fluid inside body cavities, that is effusion. Pathogenesis, capillary leakage. Damaged capillary endothelium because of infections, trauma led to inflammatory edema with features of non-pitting localized edema accompanied by inflammation. 2. Decrease in effective arterial blood volume. This occurs due to reduced cardiac output or systemic vascular resistance, leading to series of physiological responses like neurohumoral activation and adrenergic stimulation, leading to increase in sodium and water retention, thereby restoring effective arterial volume but leading to edema. 3. Renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. Drop in blood pressure or drop in fluid volume will be sensed by Golgi cells of kidney, and in response it will release renin. Renin is a hormone which will act on angiotensinogen protein released by liver and convert it into angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 will be further converted by ACE into angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 has two main actions. 1. It will act on adrenal cortex and release aldosterone, which will cause sodium absorption followed by water absorption. Second, angiotensin 2 acts on blood vessels and cause vasoconstriction, therefore normalizing blood pressure. 4. Vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone is released by hypothalamus and acts on V1 and V2 receptors. V1 receptors in blood vessels will cause vasoconstriction, therefore increasing systemic vascular resistance. V2 receptors in kidney will cause increased absorption of water, therefore both factors will cause increased arterial volume. 5. Endothelin. Endothelin is a chemical hormone released by endothelium of blood vessels which will cause vascular smooth muscle contraction and therefore increasing systemic vascular resistance. These 5 factors of pathogenesis ultimately lead to increment in interstitial volume by increase in blood volume, thereby causing edema, or if classified into various types depending on several factors like according to location, generalized or localized type. Generalized edema. It affects multiple organs or tissues of the body and occurs due to transudation of salt and water, as in congestive heart failure and cirrhosis. Severe generalized edema is known as anasarca. Localized edema. It affects local region and occurs due to increased permeability of small blood vessels, example in infection, trauma, and lymphatic obstruction, etc. According to clinical finding, edema can be of pitting or non-pitting type. How do we know that? On clinical finding, by applying constant pressure for 30 to 35 seconds on shin of tibia through our index finger, we check if indentation remains on skin after releasing pressure, then it is pitting edema, otherwise it is non-pitting edema. Now, what are the causes of pitting edema? These are congestive heart failure, liver cirrhosis, nephrotic syndrome. Causes for non-pitting edema are myxedema and scleroderma. According to pathophysiologic mechanism, edematous fluid can be exudate or transudate. Exudate. It is a protein-rich inflammatory fluid. Transudate. It is protein-poor non-inflammatory fluid. Exudate appears cloudy due to presence of white blood cells. Transudate is translucent straw-colored appearance except peritoneal effusion, which appears milky. Exudate is seen in sepsis. Transudate is seen in heart failure and liver failure. Morphology. In light microscopy, you will see clearing and separation of extracellular matrix along with subtle cell swelling. The most common sites involved are subcutaneous tissue, lungs, and brain. Edema involving subcutaneous tissue is mainly caused by renal or cardiac disease. It is dependent edema with pitching type property. Dependent edema is a term that doctors use to describe gravity related swelling in the lower body. Gravity has the effect of pulling fluid down toward the earth, causing it to pool in the lowest part of your body, such as your feet, legs, or hands. It appears in legs when standing and in sacrum when recumbent. If significant, it can impair wound healing and clear. Pulmonary edema. Pulmonary edema is a condition caused by excess fluid in lungs. This fluid collects in the numerous air sacs in lungs, making it difficult to breathe. Lungs appear 2 to 3 times of normal weight. Frothy, blood-stained fluid on sectioning. Now, in most cases, heart problems cause pulmonary edema like left ventricular failure. But fluid can accumulate for other reasons including pneumonia, exposure to certain toxins and medications, trauma to the chest wall, and visiting or exercising at high elevations. In some cases, pleural effusions can also lead to pulmonary edema. Brain edema or cerebral edema is when fluid builds up around the brain causing an increase in pressure known as intracranial pressure. Cerebral edema can restrict the supply of blood to the brain. Lack of oxygen in the brain can damage brain cells or cause them to die. Now, swollen brain exhibits narrow sulci and distended gyri as you will see in morphology. In symptoms of cerebral edema, you will figure headache, vomiting, dizziness, loss of consciousness, but if severe, herniation of brain substance may occur, a fatal condition.